Darling, we've booked you the most wonderful surprise, a 10-day wellness retreat in Sedona. Your father and I can't wait for you to recharge.
A retreat? That doesn't sound like them. They've never just given me something without strings. Mom, that's generous, but I can't just leave work for 10 days. I have projects due.
Oh, we already cleared it with your boss. Everything's arranged. Just pack, sweetheart. It's a gift.
Elizabeth stared at her suitcase. Something about the call made her skin tighten. She packed with a deliberate slowness, as if testing the decision. Then she did something she couldn't explain. She pulled open her desk drawer, slipped a second phone, an old one she'd kept as a backup, into the lining of her luggage. At the airport, Elizabeth held her boarding pass. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, cheerful and wrong. She boarded the plane anyway. The desert rose through the window, red rocks and endless blue sky. Sedona was beautiful in a way that felt too perfect, too staged. The sign read, "Serenity Pathways." A crisp, modern building crouched at the edge of a canyon, welcoming her to a place she'd never requested. Elizabeth stepped through the entrance with her suitcase, the second phone nestled against her folded shirts. The air inside smelled of lavender and iron discipline. The receptionist held out a wicker basket. "All electronics, please." Elizabeth hesitated, her hand tightening on her bag strap.
Mental detox? They never mentioned that before.
She placed her everyday phone into the basket, watching it disappear among a dozen others.
Welcome, Elizabeth. I am Miss Hartley. You are enrolled in our Lifestyle Realignment Program, a journey toward authentic womanhood.
Lifestyle realignment. That phrase lands like a threat wrapped in ribbon.
A staff member led her to a small room with a bed, a desk, and a high window. It felt less retreat, more institution.
They took my first phone, but my backup is still here, and they have no idea.
Alone. She slid the second phone deep under the mattress, smoothing the sheet until it looked untouched.
I don't know what this place is yet, but I'm not walking in blind.
That night, she lay staring at the ceiling, the faint shape of the phone pressing into her back, a secret she could feel with every breath. At dawn, a chime rang through the halls. Women shuffled into a circle of chairs under fluorescent lights. Miss Hartley stood at its center.
Today we examine the roots of feminine deviance. You've all let ambition and selfishness replace your true purpose.
So, this is the program? Not wellness, coercion dressed as enlightenment.
Her fingers found the button in her pocket. The recording light was off, but the timer was running.
Write down 3 ways your career has made you neglect your natural duties as a woman.
On the lined paper, Elizabeth wrote mechanically, "I have prioritized work over family." She underlined the words, her pen digging deep. Beside her, a dark-haired woman named Naomi twisted a tissue, eyes wet. She hadn't written a single word.
Are you okay?
They told my husband this would fix me. I don't even know what they're fixing.
Elizabeth's finger stayed on the record button. These were the first words she'd caught, the beginning of something much larger than a retreat. Day 2. The recordings stacked up. Group sessions, counselor prompts. The precise tone Hartley used when stripping women down. She kept the phone screen off and the microphone aimed toward the center of the room. The audio was crisp, every degradation preserved in digital amber. At the midday meal, a woman named Priya slid into the seat facing her. She had the look of someone bracing for a fight.
My sister booked this. Said I needed a reset. I thought it was a yoga retreat, until they started lecturing us about our barren wombs.
I am recording everything. There's a second phone hidden in my room.
You are lying.
I am not. And I am writing down the names of every woman here against her will. I need yours.
Priya Kapoor. And if you are serious, I want in.
That night, Elizabeth added Priya's name to the list, then Naomi's, then 5 others. 7 names. The paper felt heavier than the phone. Day 4 began with a chiming bell and a schedule that read, Homemaking Practicum. Elizabeth found herself in a room with an ironing board and a row of crisp white shirts.
Ironing is not servitude, ladies. It's an act of devotion. When you smooth a shirt, you smooth your rebellion.
She's making domestic labor sound like exorcism.
Elizabeth pressed the iron slowly, the phone recording from the pocket of her skirt. The steam rose around her like a confession.
Elizabeth, how does it feel to finally invest your energy where it belongs?
It feels like I am learning a skill I already know. I am an engineer. I design systems, not press shirts.
Your pride is a symptom, Elizabeth. We can extend your stay if the program needs more time to root it out.
There it is. The threat behind the wellness language.
She filed this recording away, another exhibit for a future she was building in silence. The timer on the phone ticked past 47 minutes. By lunch, Counselor Denise had noted her resistance. Elizabeth's name moved to the top of the watch list. That night, sleep came in fragments. Elizabeth found Naomi in the hallway, back pressed against the wall, eyes red-rimmed.
I am not here because I need fixing. Elizabeth, my husband petitioned the court. A judge signed off on this.
What do you mean, a court order? You are an adult. How is that legal?
Conservatorship. He claimed I was unable to manage my own affairs because I wanted a divorce. The judge believed him.
This isn't just a toxic program. It's a legal weapon and her husband used it. Naomi, I need to record this. From the beginning. Every detail you remember. It matters for the case.
If you are really doing this, I'll give you everything. I just want to see my kids again.
Elizabeth pressed record. Naomi's voice, raw and trembling, spilled into the microphone. A court docket number, a husband's name, the precise date her life had been stolen. When the recording stopped, Elizabeth added a note to her list. Legal coercion, conservatorship abuse. The game had changed. Before dawn, Elizabeth stared at the ceiling again, but now the phone under her mattress wasn't just a lifeline. It was a weapon aimed at a system. Day 6. Hartley's gaze settled on a woman in the corner who had been silently crying since the opening chime. The room tensed.
Emotional incontinence. That's what I call it. A weak woman leaking control all over the floor.
She's using every tool of psychological abuse and calling it therapy. This is textbook.
The woman stammered an apology, but Hartley stepped closer, her voice turning almost tender with malice.
Do you think a husband wants a wife who can't contain herself? You are a drain, not a partner.
If I bring this to anyone with authority, they'll have to act. This isn't opinion. It's documented abuse.
Her thumb hovered over the stop button, but the audio kept rolling. Every sniffle, every jagged breath preserved in digital amber. When the session ended, the woman was half carried out, her sobs echoing down the hallway. No one moved to help.
This file alone could shift a jury, but it's not enough, not yet.
The recording joined the others, a growing archive of cruelty that Elizabeth guarded with her life. Day 7. Elizabeth spotted a crumpled invoice near the supply closet with her name across the top.
Conversion track. $18,000. Paid by Carol and Thomas. They bought a ticket to reprogram their daughter, and the receipt was on the floor.
Her hands were still, but something behind her ribs turned to ice. She folded the invoice and tucked it into her journal, beside the list of names.
This is the paper trail. This proves they knew what they were sending me into.
That night, she photographed the invoice, adding it to the encrypted archive on her phone. The evidence was complete. Audio of abuse, a list of victims, and now, a paid invoice.
9 days in, the gift had a price tag. And my parents signed the receipt.
She locked the phone and slid it under the mattress again, the weight of it a promise. Day 8 broke with shouting in the hall. Doors slammed open, one after another.
A search. Now, the phone.
She yanked the phone from under the mattress and pressed it flat against her waistband, smoothing her shirt over it.
Routine contraband check. Stand back.
If they pat me down, everything is over.
The staffer flipped the mattress, shook out her clothes, and found nothing. But from the next room came a cry. Another participant was dragged out, clutching a diary to her chest. They pried it from her fingers and led her away.
They'll isolate her now, and that could have been me.
We'll be conducting random searches from now on. Cooperation is part of your realignment.
That night, Elizabeth lay still, the phone a warm brick against her stomach. Every footstep in the hall was a countdown. Day 9 arrived with a dull gray light. Elizabeth hadn't slept. The search had reshuffled her priorities.
I talked to Naomi again. There are at least 3 women here under conservatorships. Their families weaponize the courts.
It's not just a toxic retreat. It's a pipeline. Legal kidnapping, dressed as wellness.
She pulled out the list of 7 names. Next to Naomi's, she scribbled conservatorship and underlined it twice.
If we can prove this is systemic, those court orders could be voided. We could all go home.
The recordings prove abuse. The invoice proves fraud. The list proves they target vulnerable women through legal loopholes.
What if the others won't talk? Some are terrified of their families.
Then I'll testify for them. The audio will speak even when they can't. Tomorrow is the last day. When I walk out, I am driving straight to the FBI. This place ends with us.
The phone under her pillow had recorded the entire conversation. Proof that the women inside were not just victims, but architects of their own rescue. Day 10. The final group session. A young woman who had been silent all week suddenly stood, shaking, and screamed that she couldn't survive another hour.
Remove her. Compose yourselves. This is precisely the emotional weakness we are correcting.
I need her contact information. Naomi might be able to get it before she's locked away.
She scribbled her email on a scrap of paper and slipped it into Naomi's hand as the staff dragged the woman out.
I'll try. The seclusion cabin is out of bounds, but I know the staff who monitors it.
If they isolate any more of us, our nerve will crack. We hold until tomorrow. That's the deadline.
Every name on that list is a reason to finish this. We are not who they say we are.
In the dim hallway, Elizabeth, Naomi, and Priya promised each other that they wouldn't leave without speaking for the ones still inside.
For her, and for all of us. When you walk out tomorrow, I'll be ready to talk to anyone who'll listen.
They broke her for a day, but we'll break this place for good.
That evening, a chime signaled gratitude meditation. Elizabeth sat cross-legged amid the women, her phone recording from her waistband.
3 names still missing. This meditation is the only cover I have left.
She pressed a folded note into the hand of the woman beside her. The words, "I can help. Need your number," written small. The woman scribbled a reply, a name, a phone number, an email. Elizabeth's list grew by 1 more. Across the circle, Priya caught another woman's eye and mouthed a silent instruction. A second note made its way back. Naomi, seated at the edge, passed the last contact through a whisper, so quiet it barely registered above the meditative hum.
7 names, 7 full entries. Every woman in this room is now accounted for.
Back in her dorm, she opened the journal and tucked the completed list beside the folded invoice. The archive was sealed.
Tomorrow, I walk out of here. And the day after, this place becomes a crime scene.
The second phone recorded its final overnight file, the microphone picking up nothing but her steady breathing and the distant hum of the desert. Morning light cut through the high window. Elizabeth dressed in silence, the second phone tucked into the bottom of her packed suitcase.
Elizabeth, your exit interview, a final reflection on your progress. I hope you'll leave us a glowing recommendation. Perhaps a testimonial for our future guests.
I'll be sure to share my experience with everyone who needs to hear it.
That's the spirit. Sign here. and you may collect your phone at reception.
Elizabeth signed without reading it, her signature a blade. The pen lifted, and she rose. At the front desk, her first phone was returned, battery long dead. She slipped it into her pocket, feeling the lump of its twin in her bag.
2 phones now. One carried their words, one will carry their ruin.
She pushed through the glass doors into the desert sun. The warm air tasted of freedom and the sharp edge of what was to come. She didn't look back. The trunk opened, the suitcase locked away, and the engine turned over, pointing toward the nearest FBI field office. The rental car ate up the desert highway, red cliffs shrinking in the rear view. Elizabeth kept both hands on the wheel, the silence thick. She thumbed the second phone awake and let a playback roll, Hartley's voice, cold as marble, calling a woman's tears incontinence. Her jaw clenched. She pulled into a gas station outside Flagstaff, the sky already tinting orange with the engine off. She opened her cloud app and uploaded every file. The progress bar crawled, but her pulse didn't slow until it hit 100%.
Now nothing can erase it. Not a crash, not a search. It's everywhere.
The GPS recalculated, pointing her east. The FBI field office was 40 minutes away. Office blocks replaced desert. A square concrete building waited, American flags snapping in the afternoon wind. She parked and sat for a long moment, the second phone clutched in her palm like a grenade.
This is the line. Once I walk in, my parents become defendants. The program becomes a crime scene.
She exhaled, opened the door, and walked toward the entrance. The phone was warm from her grip. Inside, a receptionist contacted an agent. Elizabeth was led down a long corridor to an office where a man in a suit rose to greet her.
I am Agent Reed. You said you have evidence of a serious crime?
10 days of recorded abuse, a paid invoice for a conversion program, and 7 women held against their will. It's all on this phone.
She placed the second phone on the desk. He didn't touch it yet, his eyes on her, then he nodded slowly.
Let me hear a sample.
He plugged in earbuds and scrolled. Hartley's voice bled into his ear, then a woman's cry. Reed's jaw locked.
This is Miss Hartley, the director?
She runs a coercive control facility. There are women inside right now who can't leave because of court orders their families weaponized.
Stay here. I am escalating to the on-duty supervisor immediately. We'll need a formal statement.
Reed left. Elizabeth sat alone, the phone now in an evidence bag, and began to recount out loud what she had survived. After hours of statements, Elizabeth sat in a borrowed office and charged her dead phone. The screen lit up and she dialed Naomi.
Naomi, I filed the complaint. The FBI has the recordings. Are you out yet?
We got released this morning. I am home. Elizabeth, I'll testify. We all will. Every single woman.
She hung up and called Priya. The phone barely rang before Priya's sharp voice came through.
Just tell me where to sign. I've already contacted the others. We're forming a support group right now.
That night, 7 women met on a video call, scattered across 3 states, sharing the first fragile threads of solidarity. In an FBI conference room, analysts listened to hours of recordings marking every instance of coercion for the federal complaint.
The waiting is worse than the 10 days inside. But this time, I am not waiting alone.
By the end of the week, charges were being drafted: coercive control, fraud, conspiracy across state lines. Elizabeth looked out at the skyline, 7 names saved in her phone. The real fight was just beginning. 4 days after Elizabeth filed her statement, federal agents breached the gates of Serenity Pathways. Miss Hartley was led out in handcuffs, her tailored blazer silhouetted against the desert morning. Inside, the remaining women spilled into the courtyard. Naomi among them, arms wrapped around a trembling stranger, 800 miles away, Carol and Thomas heard a knock at their door.
What is this about? We're retired. We don't have any trouble with the authorities.
We're here about your daughter, Elizabeth. Did you pay $18,000 to enroll her in a conversion program without her consent?
It was a wellness retreat. She needed guidance. We were helping her.
We have recordings of systematic abuse inside that facility and a billing invoice with your signature. You are both under federal investigation.
Carol's face crumpled. Thomas looked like he'd been struck. Their daughter had not only survived, she had recorded the evidence that would undo them. By nightfall, the national news picked up the headline, "Wellness Retreat Exposed as Forced Conversion Camp." The story dominated every screen. Elizabeth watched the news in her borrowed apartment, her parents' photograph beside the facility's locked gate.
We were only trying to help our daughter find her place.
Elizabeth muted the television. Help was the word they'd used when they signed the invoice. Her lawyer called the next morning. The civil suit was ready, naming Serenity Pathways, Carol, and Thomas as co-defendants.
File it. Every audio file is logged, and the invoice is attached. I want the judgment public.
The list of 7 names became a rolling exhibit, each woman's story attached to the complaint. Carol and Thomas received the summons. Thomas threw it against the wall. Carol sat frozen, the paper landing at her feet.
She's suing us after everything we gave her?
The recording of Hartley's voice played on the evening news, undisputed, undeniable. Public opinion swung like a blade. Elizabeth stood at the window, the lawsuit a hard copy in her hand. She'd known this was the only way home. 4 months after the civil suit was filed, Elizabeth stood in the courtroom for the ruling. The gavel struck. The judge found Serenity Pathways, Carol and Thomas liable for fraud, coercion, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. The judgment entered $640,000 in damages, plus legal costs. A public record ruling naming her parents as co-defendants. The check was a bank draft, the ink still fresh, made out to Elizabeth.
My mother's name will appear on legal records beside the word fraud for the rest of her life.
Carol and Thomas did not attend the hearing. The judgment would be served anyway. Another sealed document in a growing file. Outside the courthouse, the 7 women gathered beside Elizabeth. Priya gripped her shoulder. Naomi wept with relief.
This isn't a prize. It's proof that we were right. I walked in with a hidden phone and walked out with the law on my side.
The second phone was now a piece of evidence in a closed case. Its work was done. In the weeks after the ruling, interview requests poured in. Elizabeth held up her hand, palm out, and walked past every camera. She agreed to only one meeting. A local journalist who promised no clickbait, no family photos. Just one question.
If you can record it, record it.
The clip lived forever online. A single sentence, spoken in a steady voice, viewed millions of times.
That's all they need. The rest belongs to us.
She booked a one-way flight that evening, choosing a city where no one knew her face. Her old number was deactivated. Her social media deleted. Only 7 women had her direct contact. She packed a single suitcase, leaving behind the borrowed apartment and the last traces of television coverage.
No zip code, no forwarding address. For the first time, my parents have no idea where I am.
The second phone remained in federal storage, but its silent testimony had already rewritten every chapter to come. In a new apartment, Elizabeth messaged the group, ready to meet.
Yes, I need to see all of you. It's been too long.
I'll fly out Friday. Don't start without me.
That Friday, 7 women gathered in Elizabeth's living room. They sat on the floor, knee to knee, coffee steaming. Priya made a joke about the ironing board. The room cracked open with laughter.
This is what safety sounds like. No one grading our womanhood.
They decided to meet monthly. Naomi called it their reclamation dinner. 2 years later, the dinner's held. The group chat buzzed with morning check-ins. Elizabeth had a new job, a new address, and a framed photo on her desk. 7 women laughing.
Carol and Thomas are still not in my life. These women are.
Elizabeth sat on her balcony at sunrise, the old second phone resting in a small keepsake box beside her chair. The box held more than an artifact. It held the silence of 10 days, a paid invoice, and a list of names she no longer needed to guard.
The phone saved me once, but the women on the other end of that list will save me forever.
Her phone buzzed. A new message in the group chat.
I'll be there.
The sun climbed above the buildings, and she closed the box. The past was in evidence storage, but the future was in her hands.
If you can record it, record it. And when you find your people, hold on.
She smiled. Not the faint, composed smile of the woman who walked into a retreat a lifetime ago, but something steadier, earned. Behind her, the city hummed awake. Inside, the box sat on a shelf, and the phone number Carol and Thomas once called was no longer in service. Elizabeth was not defined by what was taken from her. She was defined by what she built with 7 other women, a life where the only voice that mattered was her own.